I don't think they care that they got no one on that flight. I don't think they care that it cost £500,000. What it's signalling is not just to the people traffickers, but to the rest of the country. We're on one side and everyone else is on the other side. Just doesn't understand the issues. And, actually, I think they're hoping that most people agree with them that people should be sent to Rwanda, which, I deeply disagree.
Let's talk about Rwanda and the government's failure to get the plane to take off, as if they couldn't have seen that might have been happening. Alice, I'm slightly struck this morning by the sort of the I don't know if it's faux outrage or not, but the sort of sudden shock and surprise amongst Tory MPs and ministers that we are in the European Convention on Human Rights, and this was probably always going to happen.
So I think they wanted it to happen to a certain extent.
Maybe.
I particularly think that Number 10 did. I think they're whipping up these faux arguments because they are going into election mode. And actually, Boris looks happier when he's in election mode. He's not actually having to think, what do we want to do in Britain and what are we going to achieve? What he's thinking is, how am I going to win the next election? And if he can split Labour on this and he can split the country on this, and he's doing it on other issues as well, like the strikes, you can see that he feels in an easier, better place for himself. So I don't think they care that they got no one on that flight. I don't think they care that it cost £500,000. What it's signalling is not just to the people traffickers, but to the rest of the country. We're on one side and everyone else is on the other side. Just doesn't understand the issues. And, actually, I think they're hoping that most people agree with them that people should be sent to Rwanda, which, I deeply disagree with them on, but I can see where they're coming from now.
There's a risk, though, isn't there? The public might start asking, well, you've been in government for 12 years now. Boris Johnson's been in government for 3 years. At what point do they take responsibility for the state of the nation as it is, rather than constantly try to reinvent, we are the ones who are going to bring about change?
But I think that's the only way they're going to win elections, isn't it? That's what Boris likes. He likes coming in and saying, I'm going to sort this out, go with me and I'll sort out Brexit. He doesn't actually then want to sort it out. He's not going to be able to sort Brexit. So he's got to move on to the next issue, which is going to be immigration, which is all these other people haven't been able to sort immigration. Leave it to me and I'll do it. And actually what happens is the more the judges are angry, the more divisive it becomes, the more split the country is, the happier Boris always seems. He just likes chaos.
You don't need judges to make planes not take off. All you need to do is just book a flight to the Med, it seems. But it was watching it last night because they started with 7, didn't they?
Yeah.
A plane with 7 people sounds ludicrous, a waste of money. And maybe there's merit to what Peter Bone was saying in the Commons, that book 200 on it. That way, as you whittle it down, at least you get a full plane. And it gradually knocked down. 7 became 4, became 3. And this was happening at the same time as England were having a disastrous football match. And someone said, who would have put money on England conceding more goals than the number of people that leave on that flight? It is barking, really, isn't it? But, they have a new enemy, bishops now. Tom Newton-Dunn was tweeting that because the bishops said the policy is immoral, we're going to abolish bishops. Only a week after the Queen's Jubilee. We're now going to make her go back on her coronation pledge, it seems.
But and I suppose this is Boris Johnson all over. None of this is very conservative, is it? The Conservative Party going to war with bishops, with the church, with Prince Charles, with judges.
No, not at all. But he doesn't mind that. That's not Boris, is it? We always say, he's libertarian or he's Tory or he's this or he's that. Actually, Boris is just trying to win for himself in the end. We've got to understand that, and that he is looking at the next election. He's looking at the polls, and he thinks the Rwanda doesn't play as badly as some of the rest of us think. And actually, we end up with a sort of smaller, meaner, nastier country by pitching everyone against each other. But he's hoping that he ends up in Downing Street again.
But to do what? That's what...
Nothing. He has no plan. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If he said, actually, we're going to do this in Rwanda and it's a temporary solution, and then we're going to do this, this and this, but we don't know what else he's going to do. They can't keep sending people to Rwanda, and it's unbelievably expensive. And I think, I feel that it just looks so bad on this country that we can't actually handle our own immigration situation. If anything else, I think that's what Boris should mind, and that's that we're so hopeless that we have to ship out all our issues and problems.
So the numbers have trebled this year, and there's 10,500.
Yeah.
Which is,
and that's the point. Is it and I was making this point when I spoke to Craig McKinley, the Conservative MP, a bit earlier. If this was going to act as a deterrent, Boris Johnson announced this in April. And the numbers actually have gone up and up and up. If the idea that if you came to the UK illegal in a boat, you might end up in Rwanda was a deterrent, we might have started seeing that effect. And actually, we've already, we're in mid-June, we've already surpassed where we were in August.
Yes, and sending
last year.
7 back isn't going to make much of
No.
it.
Well, it's almost the worst, actually, that none have gone back. So actually, if you're a people smuggler, you'd look at it and think, well, that's deeply ineffective.
Yeah.
And you say to all the people that have paid vast amounts of money to try and get across the channel, well, actually, it's obviously not working.
I guess the only hope is that people smugglers take up running government airlines, because it seems that you make masses out of this.
Because but if you're, even if they sent 7 back, if you are a desperate person trying to get to the UK or people smuggler trying to make money out of this, you'd think, well, the odds are still pretty good. 7 versus 10,500. It's worth a go.
But what my mind about is what the Cabinet is saying. I mean, they must realise, the Cabinet, that this is utterly insane to spend the next 2 years with these kind of policies.
And I suppose, but the other problem is, if the election is 2 years away, we will be able to see whether or not any of this stuff has worked. You know, there keeps being a point where, and maybe this is where Labour can attack it, not from a, you know, getting all knotted up with being lefty, hand-wringing judicial activist or whatever it is, but just say, this isn't working. You keep coming up with this mad stuff and it doesn't work.
I think that's what they have to say is you have no plans, you have no policies.
Yeah.
And they've got to come up with some of their own. That is the problem, that
Yeah.
they need to have the alternative. They need to work out exactly what they're going to do with immigration. And they don't need to say it in detail, because the detail always trips you up. But they do need to come up with an alternative, I think.